Welcome to It's 11 It's Heaven for Jamie Vardy, the Leicester City podcast. We're joined tonight by a full house of Steve, Tom, Aidan, Barry, and we're joined by BBC Radio Leicester's Owynn Palmer Atkin. How are you, Owynn?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
It's good to have you on. You're a lifelong Leicester fan, aren't you?
I am, yes. Season ticket holder. I actually still have my season ticket, which gets used by other members of the family. But yeah, lifelong Leicester fan, and now have the privilege, I suppose, of following the club professionally.
Yeah, amazing. You are literally the luckiest season ticket holder that we've got at the minute, aren't you? Because you're still there week in, week out. How's that been for you?
Well, I've not always been there, and that's the bad bit about it, I suppose, in that a lot of the time this season I've been presenting from the studio. I've been able to go to a couple of games, which, you know, is such a privilege, particularly in a season like this, but it's nowhere near the same. It's honestly one of the most bizarre experiences. Going to a behind closed doors game essentially is so strange. But yeah, the games that I've been able to go to, I feel so lucky to have actually gone to them and be able to watch Leicester and report on them. Clearly for you guys and everyone else that listens to us. But yeah, it's not been the same. It's nowhere near as enjoyable when there's no fans on the ground.
No, at least it's sort of kept going, hasn't it, through this lockdown? It was horrific, the first one, but myself and Tom, we're season ticket holders in SK2. I'm not sure where your season tickets are. Are you COP based as well?
No, J3. So just after the halfway line, sort of as the standing up brigade sort of just comes to an end, that's where our season tickets are.
You're in the posh seats down there, yeah?
well, now I'm actually in the West Stand.
Yeah.
Directly opposite where my season ticket is as well. So I can still see my mum and my granddad and my brother who go. So that's always nice to be able to give them a little wave pre-match. Clearly not at the moment, but yeah.
So what got you into sort of broadcasting and Radio Leicester? I've heard a story that you pretty much walked into Radio Leicester and told Ian Stringer you're going to have his job. Is that right?
That is right, yeah. 11 years old I did that, which, it's pretty ballsy for an 11-year-old to do that. But
you were lacking confidence, were you?
Yeah. So I always wanted to play for Leicester, as we sort of all did and probably all still do. But sort of realised that, I got to, a little bit older and realised I probably wasn't going to be good enough. I'm half decent, play Sunday league and, bit of Saturday league, but realised that probably wasn't going to be the dream coming true. So I thought, what could be the next thing down? And it came to, can I watch Leicester play for a living? And that's when I was like, okay, well, that's what I'm going to work towards then. And walked into Ian Stringer at BBC Radio Leicester, into the offices where I walk in every day now. And I remember walking in, he was wearing flip-flops. It was in the middle of summer. And I just stood there and I said, one day I'm going to have your job. And it feels quite strange now that I work alongside him when he knows that.
One day when I have your job and I'm not going to be wearing flip-flops whilst doing it, I presume was the conversation. It seems like a really good team that you guys have got there. Actually, we spoke to both Matty Piper and Ian on the show so far, and you guys just seem so together and really enjoying that job. Your friends off air as well. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, really good friends. Like we'll go out for meals and stuff together, and we've kind of all quite bonded really well. I think one thing that it probably comes down to is we all come from relatively similar backgrounds in that we all kind of grew up on council estates and none of us went to university. We all have a deep lying love for Leicester City, and we all just like having a laugh. So that team is really close, as you sort of say, and you should see the Radio Leicester passion wagon on the way to away games, because it's something else.
Well, I bet I saw Matt Piper having a bit of a sing one Friday night on Twitter, so I can imagine he's belting some tunes out of that car.
Yeah. We have our own away day playlist.
All right, okay.
I'm chief DJ, but it incorporates music taste from everyone. So it's the most bizarre playlist in the world, and you can find it if you want. It's on Spotify, but it will go from Oasis, because we're all big Oasis fans, and then it will be a live version of Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me with George Michael and Elton John, and then it will go into the Lighthouse Family, and then it will be, you know, some just weird house track from the 90s, and then it will be Queen, and then, you know, it's loads of sing-alongs really, because singing helps the voice, so we always sing on the way to away games.
That's fantastic. Well, we've got Aidan, who looks like he's from a 90s boy band today. Aidan, what on earth is going on with your vest? What are you doing?
There is an explanation.
I would hope so.
I'm actually living back at my mother's house at the moment. I've got some builders putting in a new kitchen for whenever the podcast gets a trip to the Irish Cup final, and whenever that will be, we'll be ready to cook you a full Ulster fry, Mark. But so living back here, not many of my own clothes, and I found at the bottom of a drawer after I jumped out of the shower to get ready for this podcast, I like to smell good for the podcast. I find this this vest top, which actually I actually discovered in the substitutes bench in Reykjavik whenever I went to watch Northern Ireland play Iceland in 2007, and unfortunately we lost 2-1, and the hopes of Euro 2008 were finally dashed. But I kind of broke into this, well, not broke in, kind of entered the stadium the night after the match, and this is my souvenir from that trip 14 years ago.
Okay, so you nicked it. I thought you were going to say when you were at your mum's that it was potentially hers. So I'm glad that we didn't quite go down that route there. But it does say, for the people listening on Spotify and not seeing the video, it says, how would you pronounce that? Area?
Area, yeah, let's go for that. Area number 16.
It should say error, because that is an absolute shocker. So we'll move on. Lads, we're going to talk Leicester City 5, Sheffield United 0. Tom, when you hear that Sheffield United have sacked Chris Wilder, what did you think was going to happen the next day?
It's one of them, isn't it, where usually you're thinking you might be in for some trouble, but I guess this situation's not quite a full sacking. Where the players want him out. So yeah, I thought that would benefit us, to be honest, and it did, didn't it?
Yeah, it seemed that way. They were poor, weren't they? Barry, I know you had a bit of a struggle against. I always seem to do this to you, don't you? Every time we talk about one of our opponents that we've easily rolled over, we talk about Villa losing to them. What happened? How did you lose to them? They were awful.
Poor decisions, poor performance. They got a red card and that ruined it. That was their game plan after that. 4-4-1. But yeah, I didn't think you boys would struggle though. I didn't think it'd hit 5, but yeah, you smashed them.
Yeah, was Chris Wilder a bit harshly sort of treated? Do you think, Owynn? Was that harsh for him? He's taken it from League One. He's a Sheffield United guy all the way through, and now he's out of a job there.
Yeah, well, he left, didn't he? He wasn't sacked. I think we heard the Sheffield United owner, you know, a couple of weeks ago talking about how he's got a job for life and all of these different things. I think what, you know, reading between the lines and talking to some journalists from sort of who cover Sheffield United, they were talking about the fact that they wanted to bring in a director of football was something that wasn't sitting well with Chris Wilder. And it seemed like Sheffield United want to take what they have now and move into a very modernised club, similar to what Leicester are, similar to the sort of infrastructure that Leicester and other clubs like Man City will have in terms of that director of football and recruitment officers and all those bits and bobs. But I think Chris Wilder very much wanted to stay in the way that the club was now, in terms of he's the main man, he makes the demands on the transfers, he's the one who scouts the players, talks to the scouts, etc., and controls everything football related, and that's the reason why, you know, he left in the end and why he decided to leave. But as soon as he left, everyone was going, oh no, it's that new manager bounce, the lads coming in. But as soon as that game started, in fact, we were talking about the warm-up, the Sheffield United warm-up on our pre-match programming. We were looking at them and going, these don't look at it today. And then as soon as the game started, you could tell they weren't.
Yeah, they really weren't either, were they, Steve? You know, I think Keane Bryan was their centre half. He seemed to want an age on the ball every time he had it. He got robbed 3 times in that first half.
Death so many times, yeah.
They were poor, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, so we were discussing before we come on here that we weren't that good in the first half, but we were playing in first and second gear, and they never troubled us at all. And obviously, we had a few chances with before we scored with the Perez header that was tipped onto the post, and Vardy was clean through one time and hit it more or less straight at the keeper. So, but in the second half, we could have won by 8 or 9 quite easy. I mean, Nacho could have got 5, couldn't he? I mean, if it wasn't an own goal, he would have been there for a tap in at the far post. So, and he had another one that was just blocked wide. And Jamie Vardy could have had 3. Easy.
Yeah, could have or should have.
Should have, I think. He should have had at least 1 or 2 out of those.
Yeah, you can see the frustration building with Vardy a little bit, but his assists were absolutely spot on, weren't they, at the weekend? He's more than just a goal scorer that he seems to sometimes get the tag of. Aidan, how impressed were you with Jamie Vardy's overall play against Sheffield United?
Yeah, I think it's a positive. It was a very positive performance from him. I guess and great contribution from him, especially that cross for his cutback for Nacho's first goal that broke the deadlock for us. Of course, that as a striker and as a goal scorer, that stat's always going to be hanging over you of the dearth of goals he's getting. But it was a positive performance. Would have been great to see him score. And of course, the goal that he was involved with, in the sense that the final goal, but certainly it was going wide. Would have been great to see that go into the net from him. But no, a positive performance, and I think bringing in Nacho's performance and his hat trick, I think it was something encouraging to see that partnership working in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know about you guys, and I'm not sure what it was like in the commentary box, Owynn, but that first goal, I think I celebrated that at home like I haven't celebrated one for a long time. It felt like pure relief when that went on, because it just felt the longer that half was getting on, I said to the guys pre-match, we need a goal here just to sort of settle ourselves down. When that went in, that was a big relief for us, wasn't it?
It was, and it had that feeling. That whole game had that sort of air of significance, didn't it? About last season, do Leicester win that game? Let alone do they win it 5-0? I'm probably not, because Sheffield United put the deep block in, and I think we've really seen a development now in the growth of Brendan Rodgers' tactics, and that we're now seeing that they can break down a deep block at home, something they've always struggled with. But when that first went in, you could tell then the floodgates were going to open. But it was so good they got that goal before half time, because if they hadn't, then you start thinking, well, if Sheffield United hang on for another 5-10 minutes, are they going to make this really difficult? They've got 10 men behind the ball. Are they going to put 11 behind the ball? And as I say, last season, I don't think Leicester win that game. Maybe even earlier this season, I don't think they win that game. But the week rest did them so much good. And Brendan's tactics we're seeing develop now into being able to switch around the team, play different people, play in different formations depending on the opposition that they've got.
Absolutely. Great to go in at half-time 1-0. Barry, your thoughts on Kelechi Iheanacho? Because he looks like he's going to score a goal every time he gets in the opposition territory at the moment. He's brimming with confidence, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got a real swagger just now. I love watching him and Vardy. I think they're a great partnership up top.
Did you even love seeing them last year at Villa Park? Aston Villa 1, Leicester City 4?
No. Unnecessary.
Sorry, carry on.
No, I think he's great. I've always liked him. I think he needs that run of play. I think that run of games, and I actually think he complements Vardy. I think they both. Vardy does the accurate runs, which always frees up Iheanacho, and thankfully, and going forward, he seems to be banging them in. Like he could be the one that cements it for you, I think.
Yeah, Steve is going to speak later about the goal scoring potential we've got in the team, but we are capable of scoring goals from everywhere. But having Kelechi Iheanacho on form just takes that pressure off at the top of the pitch as well. Have you interviewed Kelechi Iheanacho, Owynn? Is he the nicest man in football?
I've not interviewed him, no, but from the interviews that he does do, he just seems like a generally down to earth guy, doesn't he? As someone who will just is just so chilled out and just happy to be doing what he's doing. It's interesting you mentioned about the pressure coming off of Vardy. I think they complement each other really well as well, but I think it works both ways in that I think the pressure's off Kelechi when Vardy's playing, because he'll look at it and go, listen, I'm not the number 9. I'm not the main man in this team. I'm not here really. I'm not being looked at as the guy who's going to score all the goals. That's him. And then that allows him just to breathe and relax. And and he's so clearly a confidence player. But then when you look at it works in the same way for Vards, in that, he might be going through this barren spell at the minute, but he knows if he's making the right runs because of that, of how Kelechi will be probably feeling by playing with him. If a chance does fall to him, he's probably going to score. So they do work and interchange really well. But yeah, such a nice bloke, and what an interview after the game. Just brutally honest, and always nice to see him say.
He was emotional, wasn't he, when he got his hat trick? You could see the emotion running through him, and at the time, I think it looked like it was just for the fact he'd scored a hat trick, and it was professionally. But I think there was some personal meaning to that hat trick for him as well.
Yeah, well, his mum died when he was 14. So to score a hat trick, your first hat trick for Leicester City on Mother's Day, that is clearly going to be so special for him. And that, as you say, it did look like he was just emotional at the fact he'd scored a hat trick. But you tie in his personal story and his history that goes with it as well, and it just makes that moment look so much sweeter for him. And to come out in his post-match interview and say, I want to dedicate that to all the mums out there on Mother's Day, etc. It's just really, really nice, isn't it?
He's becoming a Leicester City hero. Tom, I'm going to have to go back a few years when we signed him. I told you, didn't I? I told you. You had to stick with me a little bit. There was a player in there. We've had to go through the rough times, but I was 31 years old, and I had a name on the back of the shirt for the very last.
You did.
And it will be the very last time. I'm far too old for that now. But I did have
an expensive name, wasn't it?
But he was and all, yeah. And it was without the dots. Absolutely outrageous. Were you pleased for Kelechi? We've always liked him. We would like the old, all right, the old, and stuff like that on the.
Yeah, he's a bit of a character, isn't he?
Yeah. Him and Wilf seem to have a really good relationship there at Leicester.
Yeah. Did you see the video after the match in the changing room?
Yeah.
With him laughing away at him. Yeah.
Vardy taking the mick out of him. You can see that they're enjoying it. They're enjoying going to work at the moment. Owynn spoke about what it was like in the car on away days. We can all relate back to a workplace that we've all enjoyed, and we know that you get better results through that. And you can see those players at the moment. What are the confidence levels like for us, Tom, at the moment in terms of Champions League football? Barry, I think you put on our Facebook page that you thought it was cemented in as a non-Leicester City fan. I don't think anyone agreed with you for that. But Tom, how confident are you now?
I think this weekend's made a massive difference, to be honest. We've just come through 2 really tough games, where we've been struggling and we've been needing to get those points on the board to get what Barry would say cemented on as top 4. But I know it's against a Sheffield that are feeling a bit down and out, but it's a massive confidence booster for us. And if we can go into the next few games, which we know are getting tougher now, some of the teams are up and around the top. We've got West Ham, and I know it's the Cup, but we've got Man U coming up as well. So it's very positive for us.
Great. Jose Perez, Steve, back in the lineup. We spoke last week about him looking like he'd put some work in down the gym. I thought he had a great game. Did you?
Yeah, well, I said before, didn't I? I think he could be a temporary replacement for Maddison in the kind of number 10 role. And I think the 3 of them, Nacho, Vardy and Perez, were outstanding together. And I mean, they looked on fire. It'd be interesting to see against Manchester United, if the 3 of them play, or Manchester City in the league, that they can threaten them in anything like the same way, because I thought they were awesome. And I was really pleased for Perez getting his customary goal against the Blades.
Yeah, he likes that, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good to see him back out on the pitch as well. Barry, I think you said after a few minutes of the game in our WhatsApp chat that he was going to score today. You're going to take some credit for that in the show?
Yeah, of course I am. But he was good. If it wasn't for any actual hat trick, I would have probably given him man of the match.
Yeah, he played well. And, before the last 3 games, Burnley, Brighton and Sheffield United, if we were going to be talking about our heroes being Daniel Amati, Perez and Nacho, I think the phoning on or moaning or whatever you call it on the radio is it would have been beggars belief, really, wouldn't it?
Yeah, the phoning, moaning, whatever you want to call it. It's the post-match show, which sometimes can, it reflects all different things, doesn't it? When Daniel Amati scores a late winner against Brighton, and when Nacho scores a hat trick against Sheffield United, it's the Nacho loving. and you have to reflect that when they're going on a bit of a bad run, and when they've just lost disappointingly to Slavia Prague in the Europa League. You have to reflect that also. And on that night, I was fuming. I can't lie. When Leicester lost to Slavia Prague, I was not a very happy bunny at all.
I bet it felt like a real wasted sort of, 24 hours of your life commentating on all those games going through to fall at that stage.
Yeah. It was one of those though where they had a lot of directors and people in the ground, and there was probably nearly 200 people in that stadium that night, which is the most packed that the King Power has been since that game against Villa, in March 2019. So
we like to mention that at least once a week. So thanks for that.
Yeah, that 4-0 win.
Yeah.
Either. It was that was a bad night. But when you look at Amati, Nacho, and Iosi Perez as well, this is what these players are here for, and it kind of shows the depth of the squad now that Leicester do have. And although they don't have a deep enough squad to fight on free fronts at this stage of the season, as we've seen, they didn't have a deep enough squad to really fully go at Slavia Prague, and we've seen that now. And next season, if they do finish in the Champions League places or even in the Europa League places, they need to sign a number of players. And granted, there's been a lot of injuries, but they do need to sign players if they want to be fighting for the FA Cup and finishing in the top 4 in the Premier League and being in the Europa League next season. But at the moment, you see that depth of squad in Daniel Amati coming in and playing on that right-hand side of a 3 and popping up with last-minute winners. And you gents have followed Leicester for probably longer than I have. Definitely longer than I have. It'd be interesting. I don't know. Do you think this is the deepest, squad that you've ever seen of quality? I mean,
absolutely.
We can go back to Martin Allen, can't we, when he signed every man and his dog in that summer of 2008 or whenever it was, with Ricky Sappleton, etc., all those people. But is this the deepest squad of quality that you guys have seen?
For sure. Yeah, Steve, his knowledge will go back further, but that squad that you're talking about, and the Sven squad and stuff like that, we were signing players for the sakes of it without really knowing where they fit. So we could still have 25, 30 players on the books, but we wouldn't have the right players for the right position or the right quality to come in. For me now, you've got players in every position that are challenging that player that's already playing there, and that's fantastic for us. Steve, what do you think about the current squad?
Yeah, I think it's the best squad we've had. It's better than the squad that we won the league with. It's much deeper, I think, and we play better football with the squad as well. And we can almost field a team of fullbacks now, can't we? I think. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a very good squad. The only thing that's probably missing is an out-and-out replacement for Vardy if we wanted to go with one up top. I think we're still missing that, but because I don't think that's Nacho's best position to play in a one up top. I think he played better with Vardy.
He did really well dropping back into a 10 almost, didn't he? He took the game to both Brighton and Sheffield United from that position. And that's where I was going before, Owynn, about fans when they go from one polar extreme to the other and go, Nacho is rubbish, he needs to get out of the club and never put the shirt on, to, hang on, he's Ronaldo or Messi. And, I put some of the jokes on around that, and I get that. But, where is this line that we go, we still need another striker in the summer, don't we? Surely we do. Is anyone going to tell me now that we don't because Kelechi Iheanacho's hit form?
No, I don't think so. I think they do need another striker. But I think what has been shown now is that Kelechi can play in the 9. If you need him to, he can play there. But he's so much more comfortable in a 10 or in the 10s that we saw against Sheffield United. In terms of you play 2 of them, they just play ever so slightly wider, maybe 5 or 10 yards wider than a ordinary down the middle 10 that Maddison would play. But we spoke to Rob Tanner on our pre-match show a few weeks ago, and he said that he'd done an article with The Athletic with the Iheanacho's under-17s Nigeria coach, and that he was adamant that Iheanacho was a 10, and he says he's got all the attributes that make him a number 10, and he doesn't understand why he's playing as a 9. So I think that's long term where you'll see Kelechi in this Leicester side. They'd have to go and buy a striker this summer. Vardy, we saw him look rejuvenated and a little bit fresher on Saturday, or Sunday, or whenever it was Sunday. But you can't have that Jamie Vardy now every single week, because he's just coming to the end of his career, and it's a fact that we all have to face, as horrible as it might be.
It's horrible.
That's why they have to go and get a striker this summer. Someone like Edouard, who I think they'll go for at Celtic. Normally, when you ask Brendan Rodgers about a player or a striker, or anyone that's at a different club, he'll normally go, "Oh, I don't talk about other teams' players." And it doesn't matter how you try and phrase the question, he's not having it ever. But someone asked him about Odsonne Edouard a few weeks ago, and he just sat there and was just like praising him, talking about him in depth. And I just thought, you're going for him in the summer. You wouldn't be talking about a player like that if you really weren't seriously interested, and he would fit the bill. And you can give him a season or two to adapt to the Premier League as well.
I think we might be a bit further down the line on that deal than a lot of people know about at the moment, especially now Celtic, they can't win anything this season, can they? That's their season done. The way that he's talking, you're right. You know, the standard answer has always been it's another team's player. Barry, you know, you fancied him for Aston Villa. I think you're going to lose out on this one.
Yeah, I do too. I do. But I said that on a previous podcast. I think because of the manager, he'll beat us to that signature, and he knows in the next couple of years he'll probably be number one striker, where that wouldn't be the case at Villa. Yeah. But he is good. I think he's good. I think it might take him a wee while to get up to the pace of the league, but finishing, link up play, hold up play in the air, he's top notch.
Speaking of top notch, and while I've got you, you're an Aberdeen fan as well. I saw a video circulating on Twitter of James Maddison in his Aberdeen days. The guy was just incredible then, wasn't he? How old was he then? About 17, 18, and he was just 17. Unreal.
I think we hadn't beat Rangers in, I don't know, 10 years or something like that. And he came off the bench to step up to take a free kick and put it postage stamp.
Yeah.
I think I flipped a table in a bar with excitement. I was so happy about it, and got asked to leave, but it was worth it. Yeah, it was just a fantastic goal, and he was class, absolute class. Just totally showed up. We had a good squad then, and showed us up to the quality that we should be.
Yeah, he looks like he learned how to dress up in Aberdeen as well after seeing him this weekend. Absolute shocker. Steve, do you not fancy ever getting, copying the James Maddison fashion book?
I don't think it'd really suit me, Mark. No.
Get yourself a clear backpack for like 15 grand or something like
that. I think it would be a crime that, and it's almost been crime watch tonight anyway with Aidan and his.
All right.
And,
it has. You're not wrong.
Pub trashing. So no, certainly not. No.
No, fair enough. We'll leave that at that point. Last point on the Sheffield United game. Kanya Lashabella was the latest player to make his first team debut. What did you think of his performance, Aidan, at the weekend?
He came on. He looked comfortable. It was always a great game to come on in when you're when you've got quite a handy one and you're ahead. But yeah, it's good to be blooding these players, giving them an opportunity, and I'd say. From the touches that we've seen from him, he looks like he's got a lot more to give. So watch this space.
I'm going to keep talking to you just so you keep featuring on the recording, so that we have to keep looking at that best. He's going to change halfway through. That's really it for Sheffield United. Aidan, you've got the last man standing to host this week, haven't you? Our weekly game show, and I'm going to hand over to you at this point because I've been sacked. There's been a coup, and I'm no longer allowed to do it after the demise of the show last week due to the Premier League's website.
Certainly, well, with World Cup qualifiers around the corner, I've gone for quite a traditional World Cup format. So what we're going to do is, for your last man standing, you need to name the year. I will help you with that, but the year, and give me either the winners or the host of that World Cup. So you might say 2018 and give me either the winner or the host.
This could be a very short game, Aidan.
Happy with that?
Yeah. Are we starting from the closest or the?
You can start. Give me any, as long as you say the date.
Okay.
So if you want to tell me 1982, just say 19. I need to hear the year before you tell me the year, and then whether it's the winner or the host that you're giving me.
Okay.
Yep. So, are you happy with that, Owynn? As our guest, was going to let you go first. Take the easy, the low hanging fruit.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I'm going to go with a classic and say 1966, both hosts and winners, England.
Good. Just making it harder for everyone. Good. Thanks, Owynn. Steve, you're next on my list. It's fine to give me just one. It's fine to give me just one answer.
1970 World Cup was in Mexico, I believe. And
Correct.
I believe it was won by Brazil.
That is correct as well. Yeah, guys, you're really pushing it here, giving me both winner and host, but that's fine. Let's raise that bar. Mark.
Well, I'm just going to give you the host of the 1986 World Cup, which was also in Mexico.
Correct. Tom.
I'm going to give you the hosts of the 1990, which is Italy.
Are you 90? Correct.
What?
All right.
What? 1990 was it? Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, forget that. This is why I
This
host
is why
it.
you've been sacked.
Yeah. Are you 90? Gaza's tears. Barry.
The host for 94 was USA.
94 USA, correct. We're back to you, Owynn.
I'm going to go 2010. That was South Africa.
Correct. Steve.
Oh. I think 1978 was won by Argentina, but I could be wrong.
Correct.
No.
Good man, Steve. Marco.
I'm going to go for the winners in 1994. That was Brazil.
That's correct. Yeah, on penalties after a 0-0 draw in Los Angeles, I believe. Tom.
This may be wrong, but I'm going to go for Italy as the winners and hosts in 2002.
2002, Italy is winner and host. You've kind of
They weren't the hosts, were they?
flunked both of those. Incorrect on both accounts. Tom, you're out. Barry.
98 and France.
As winners or hosts?
Winners.
Correct. Owynn.
2002 World Cup was in Japan.
You want to add anything to that?
And it's
Well,
He's a harsh taskmaster.
He is.
Can I say Japan and Korea?
yeah, that'll do. Not the communist dictatorship in the North, Japan and South Korea. I'll take that. I'll take that since you're our guest. Steve Marbles.
My memory's troubling me now, but was 1986 was the winners Italy?
1986, the winner was not Italy. Steve is out.
Should have gone with my other choice.
Sorry, Steve. Mark.
I'm going to go with 1958 and the winners being Brazil.
Is correct.
Someone's got the list up on the computer.
No, mate, not at all. Pele, wasn't it? Or that was the picture I sent you of Kelechi and Nacho on Sunday.
That's it. You're still alive, Mark. Still alive. Barry, let's go up north of the border.
I think 1986 winners were Argentina.
Is correct, but we've had that one.
Oh, have we?
That's all right. I'll give you another. There's still 1990 winners.
Oh no, if it's been done before, I'm out. Get me out.
You sure? It's a lot to remember. Like, I don't mind giving you a chance.
Nah, that's cheating. I'm out.
Okay. Barry's taking himself out. Owynn.
The 2006 World Cup was in Germany.
Is right.
My first World Cup that I remember as well.
Oh dear, don't get him off. Get him off. Mark.
I'm going to go for the first World Cup that Steve remembers, which was the 1930 World Cup. that was won by Uruguay.
Correct. Back to you, Owynn.
So where are we? Can I also go for the winners of the 2006 World Cup?
You can, yes.
That would be Italy.
Is right. Yeah.
Zidane headbutt. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Berlin, of course.
Oh, I'm struggling a bit now.
I don't mind giving you the years and telling you which ones we haven't had because it's a lot to remember. We haven't had anything about 2018. We haven't had anything about 2014. We haven't had the winners of 2010.
I'm going to go with 1970. Has anyone had that?
Yeah.
It's been done.
You have to be cheating. You have to be cheating.
No, I'm not. Seriously. I'm not going to go with 1970 then. If that
74 is open. 74, 82.
Is 34 still open?
34 is there.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Uruguay again for 34.
Is incorrect. You're dead.
Was it Sweden?
34 was won by Italy in Italy. Uruguay won it in 1930 and then again in 1950. So, Owynn, as our guest, you're our winner this week. Congratulations.
Well done, Owynn.
Take that back to BBC Radio Leicester as a
Yeah.
victory. Well done. We got a
Yeah.
bit competitive then. I quite like
It
being on
is.
this side of the questions.
What the winners in 74 West Germany, Aidan? Because that was
It
going
is-
to be my other one.
That's right. West Germany in.
Oh, I should have gone
Munich.
with that one.
Yeah, West
Would've
Germany in Munich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We spoke last week about, and you took the mick out of me, you guys, about the weekend being pivotal for Leicester City and our chances of the top four. We're looking at the fixtures that were there. So it started on the Friday. Villa, Baz, you dropped a couple of points on the Friday, didn't you? Was it 1-1 against Newcastle?
Yeah, it was gross.
Was it? What happened?
Enough said.
You
Just
did.
an awful game of football by both teams. Both goals disgusting. It was just pure.
They went into the Saturday. Chelsea drew at Leeds. Everton lost against Burnley. West Ham lost to United. Spurs lose to Arsenal. We win. You can't get a more perfect weekend, Tom, can you, for Leicester City than that?
You say, Mark, it was pivotal, wasn't it?
Positively pivotal.
Yeah, it went all right for us, I think. Yeah, nice and clear of West Ham now. Liverpool are slipping down the pack, as are Everton, and Spurs aren't looking too great either, are they?
No, and Owynn mentioned a little bit earlier around the guys that had a week off and they looked pretty sharp at the weekend.
Yeah.
In terms of league games now, there's not a league game for 3 weeks since the last one, is there, until the Man City game. Owynn, are we expecting James Maddison potentially and Harvey Barnes both in and around the squad for that one, do you think?
I think Harvey Barnes might be a bit of a way off in terms of April. I would say maybe we'll probably see Harvey Barnes mid to late April, probably towards the end of April. But James Maddison against Man City, I think there's every chance in there. He's Brendan said in his pre-Sheffield United press conference that Maddison would be being looked at again after the international break, which would suggest that after the international break has been, and they'll be monitoring every day surely, but that we'll probably see him, I think, on the bench for the Man City game. But he's such an important player in those kind of games against Man City, because he's the sort of player who can pick the ball up between the lines and hold it and look after the ball in those areas where normally a player like even a player like Jamie Vardy is not really a player who can pick the ball up in between lines and take pressure off your teammates. One player, though, who can do that is Kelechi Nacho, and something we saw him do against Sheffield United. But Sheffield United and Man City are two very, very, very different.
Yeah.
Totally, yeah. I don't think we should fear Man City, though. I know we're talking a few weeks down the line, Steve. We can't go through the show without talking about how we smashed them at the Etihad back in the start of the season. We don't expect 5 goals at home, but we can give them a game, can't we?
Yeah. I mean, I was full of foreboding when Mahrez put them in front so early in that game. But we played a fantastic counter-attacking game. And we did nothing all game, but somehow managed to score 5 goals and create some other chances. So I don't know quite what game Pep was watching. No, I think we've got to be in this game. I think we've got a chance. It's going to be a tough game. Man City are on form, but they're fighting on a lot of fronts. They've almost got the league sewed up. They might make a few changes. And we'll have our confidence buoyed by what happened against Sheffield United and beating Manchester United for the first time in 7 years. So, yeah. Hopefully.
Let's hope so. We were doing a little bit of a look back earlier in terms of Leicester's Cup quarter-final defeats. The last time we reached the semi-final of the FA Cup was in 1982. You were at the game that day, Steve, weren't you?
Yeah, Villa Park against Tottenham.
Yeah.
It was during the Falklands War, and they had Ricky Villa and Ozzy Ardiaz playing. Ian Wilson, who's one of my neighbours, scored a 25-yard own goal past Mark Wallington.
You say neighbours, Steve. You've got like 8 fields around you.
Yeah,
So
well,
yeah.
he's lived in the same town, right?
Yeah.
I've been drinking with him, right? and Tommy Williams broke his leg, and it was actually quite close to me. I heard it break during that game. But we were very unlucky to lose 2-0 to Tottenham, who went on to win the cup, I think. And as a second division team, we put up a good fight actually on the day.
Yeah. Are you hopeful then for Sunday rather?
Well, I'm hopeful. I'm always hopeful. We haven't got a good record against Manchester United. We haven't beat them since that famous 5-3 victory, which I think must have been back in 14. That's why I'm saying it was 7 years ago.
Yeah, what a day that was, though. Hey?
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah, but I'm dying for a repeat. We've had 3 or 4 draws to hang on to, but we haven't beat them since then. It's about time we did.
Yeah,
and I think they're beatable.
5 defeats in FA Cup quarter-finals since that 1982. It's time we get that monkey off our back, I think. Barry, you've been in the show with us now. This is show number 12. Do you see when we lose that the confidence goes down quite a bit, and when we win, we talk like we're unbeatable, or do you think we're realistic with our expectations?
Realistic. I don't think you are a team that let it affect you if you lose the game before or have a poor performance. I think that's probably the Rodgers factor. I don't think he would allow it. I think you kind of deserve what you're getting, to be honest.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
So we go into Sunday's game. Owynn, would you change anything about the formation on Sunday, or would you just take the same 11 out and say, right, same again, lads?
I wouldn't do the same 11. No. I think, but then you start looking at who's on the bench and attacking options. If it is the same 11, they'll play, I think, in a very, 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 very different way to what we saw against Sheffield United. And this is the same formation that they beat Sheffield United with, that they actually beat Man City with in back in September in that 5-2 win, because it's that 3 at the back formation that can very, very easily turn to a 5. But I think what we're seeing is different tactics within those sort of systems that allow Leicester to play against a team who will come and try and play like Man City and Man United will probably do on Sunday, against a team like Sheffield United, who clearly came to put in a deep block. I don't know, it would be harsh to drop Nacho, wouldn't it? It'd be harsh to drop Perez, but at some stage I can see, I could see Albrighton coming in, just because of what he offers you going the other way, particularly with the wingers that Manchester United have, Marcus Rashford, Martial, etc. So then, you've got him one side. I think you could actually see Ricardo playing, in more of a wide area and almost go into a 3-4-3, possibly, with Ricardo playing one side, Iosi Perez playing off the other side, and then Albrighton filling in behind Ricardo on the right-hand side of a 4 with Castagna as well. But then, it's the ever-growing thing, isn't it? Does Iosi Perez deserve to be dropped? Does Nacho deserve to be dropped? Does anyone? Really, just Vardy. I mean, this could be, he scored 1 goal in 14 games, but played really, really well against Sheffield United. It's a golden problem, for Brendan Rodgers. But that's why he's paid a lot more than any of us to make those decisions, isn't it?
He is, and it's one of those games where undoubtedly, if we get it wrong, he's going to get a lot of stick afterwards, because it's one of those big games that we probably just need to show up in now. We need to go and take the game to United. They play on Thursday night, I think, in Milan in the second leg. That's not a given. It'd be nice if there's a nice 1-1 draw out there, sending it to extra time, get another 30 minutes of the legs for them, and bring them back to our place on Sunday. The back 3 looked pretty solid, didn't they, playing as a back 3 for the first time on Sunday, Tom?
Also than recently, yeah, they were quite impressive, really. I think Sionku still had it in him to make a bit of a mistake, but we weren't really pushed back that hard, were we? But yeah, I think going into this next game, ideally, I'd want to see us pressuring Bissaka. I think he's got it in him to make a bit of a silly challenge, and Luke Shaw on the other side's a bit more in form, isn't he?
He's been superb, isn't he, recently? We spoke, I know we've had a bit of a chat. Baz, you fancy Matty Targett to make the England squad, don't you, with your claret and blue tinted spectacles on? Surely Luke Shaw is the left back of choice for England at the minute.
I would think so, yeah. I've always liked him. He's playing really well. I think him and Rashford could be the left wing for England, the left side.
Yeah. I love you, Barry. And, we've known each other for a lot of years, but we don't see eye to eye on a couple of things. And again, on Sunday, you refuse to give Youri Tielemans the praise that everyone outside of your brain knows that he deserves. Still not going to admit that you're wrong, that he is a top-class footballer.
No, he's a good footballer, but the praise you were giving him was a bit sugar-coated, I think. Oh, straight pass. Yeah, wait till you see the straight pass.
You were saying that about the goal for, it was the Nacho's second goal. So Tielemans has split the two defenders with that pass. I watched it back. It's a perfectly weighted ball between the two defenders.
He didn't split them. He could park a boat in between them. It was an easy pass to make.
It's outrageous.
That's not outrageous. Because I was watching on the delay, and you said, "Oh, wait to watch this pass." I was still waiting further on in the play to see it.
What, after the ball was in the net?
Well, I think, but after that, when he scored, I was like, "That can't be the pass he's talking about."
Being a Villa fan, you're so unused to seeing a ball in the net that you were still waiting for the next pass. No, I thought it was a superb ball, and I think the things he does it. Everyone says he makes us tick, and I know I'm not going to change your mind. You're quite right. Your opinion is your opinion, but it just drives me wild. It makes me.
No, he did play well. He did play well. There's no denying it, and it's definitely one of the best performances I've seen out of him.
Yeah.
But it was against Sheffield United, and he was splitting defenders that aren't even really internationals. So.
If we have Wilf and Youri playing together and they're on half decent form, we can beat anyone. The rest are all luxuries. Barnes is they're great players, but I think you put those two together, Wilf stopping, intercepting, blocking, and Youri playing deep and picking out the passes. You've got someone like a Maddison or a Barnes or a Perez in there, or an Nacho. We can tear teams apart, I think.
Yeah. It's similar to Kante and Drinkwater.
No.
Levels of quality, anyway. Levels of quality.
Yeah, we love Kante.
I'll give you Kante,
yeah. We'll move on a little bit from that. Harry Maguire back to Leicester again on Sunday. I mean, what sort of I'd say reception? He's not going to get reception from fans, but how much of a torrid time do you think we can give him on Sunday from our front two or three?
I think if you get in and around him, you can give him a real torrid time because he can't turn. He can't turn quick enough, and we've seen it so many times. When you get him sort of running backwards while still facing forwards, he can't do it. And then when he starts turning, he really does turn like fridge. It's he just can't seem to move his body back round. So if you can get in behind him, if you can get Nacho, if you just play Perez, if he does play in those kind of positions, slipping in balls for wide men, then they'll have a great time. So maybe someone like Youri Tielemans, who Barry clearly is on the wind up about, because ain't they got Louise playing in midfield? How can you say that when you've got Tielemans in our double pivot compared to theirs?
Yeah, hey, look, I'm not going to deny is Tielemans going to get ahead of Louise? Yeah, of course. But I just don't get this praise of passing and that. I'm not seeing it.
Oh, he's cut his internet off on purpose. You froze there, almost like you timed it to perfection. No, we stand a chance though, don't we, Owynn, on Sunday to get through?
Of course, yeah, and it's a one-off game, isn't it? This is not a league game, and I think that means you can maybe throw a little bit more at it. But I'm sure Brendan will go with his regular tactics that we'll see. They'll try and start quickly. They'll try and get an early goal, and they'll finish strongly as well. But I just hope that by the time they come around to finishing strongly, that Manchester United don't have a hold of that game, because the FA Cup is something that has always eluded this football club, always. And we every year it comes round and we're like, could this be the year? And it's always been no. So I'm hoping that this time, with the development, as I said earlier in the programme, that we've seen from Brendan's tactics, with the team seemingly coming into a good run of form at this moment in time, coming off the back of that Sheffield United win, I'm hoping that they'll really go for United, and hopefully we'll get the same result as we saw 7 years ago when they scored that fourth and fifth that saw me end up 3 rows in front of my seat with someone I don't know on top of me, which was great.
Yeah, it probably was one of us, Tom, wasn't it? We like a bit of that, a bit of crowd
You would have
surfing.
remembered if it was either Mark or Tom. You would have remembered it. You'd have the injuries to prove it.
Just no need to body shame me like that on
Sorry.
on our show. I think a huge incentive as well is that you've got the potential of keeping the momentum going, and also the FA Cup final is likely to have 20,000 fans there. If we can get to that, that'll be amazing to get back to that first game. Let's hope they're not corporate fans that are there, and it's going to be 10,000 for each side.
But say it would be about 1,000 from each team and 18,000 corporate fans, wouldn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. That'd be horrific, wouldn't it? But can you imagine that being the first game back after 14, 15 months of no football to be back at Wembley? We had a great day at Wembley for the Charity Shield last time, didn't we? It'd be good to be back there again.
We did till I ruined it, yeah.
But yeah, Tom's left-hand it. He's back in the old Sweden squad now, and he's left-hand.
Yep.
He's come out of international retirement today. Anyway, I'm going to push you for a score prediction for Sunday, please, Steve.
Leicester City to win 3-2.
Aidan, were you going to put that? I saw your hands go up a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to do 3-2, but that's all right.
You can have 3-2 as well. It's not exclusive.
Can I have 3-2, Steve? Steve, can I have 3-2 as well?
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Tom, what are you going with?
I think it's going to be a tough one, and it's going to be 1-1 win in extra time.
That's still positive. We'll still take that. Owynn, can I take your professional opinion?
I don't know how much that's worth. But I'm going to say, I think it'll be tight. I think it'll be really, really, really tight. I think it'll be a 1-0 win for Leicester. And I'm going to say 118th minute, Kelechi and Nacho, the winner.
Because it's too cold and you don't want to take penalties.
Exactly. So it's cold.
Yeah. Spur him on, yeah. Barry, what about you?
I think 2-1 Leicester. But I think Man United will cheat an early penalty.
Yeah, probably. Penandes.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've still had more penalties than Man United this season. We seem to go under the radar. Mind you, we've not had any for a bit, have we? But we've gone under the radar a little bit with that. Listen, thanks very much for joining us tonight, Owynn. It's been a pleasure to have you. What's the rest of the season looking like for you guys at BBC Radio Leicester? Anything exciting to look forward to, or just getting down the pub for a pint at some point?
Oh yeah, I mean I can't wait until we can go to the pub, which will be great. We'll all have to go out for a beer one time and see if we can get everyone down from Scotland and Ireland and all over everywhere and go out for a drink. But yeah, soon we'll be back in away games as well at Radio Leicester, which will be immense because we've been doing the away games off of the TV recently because of BBC COVID travel rules. But we'll be back away games, which will be great. And I think it'll be a really successful season. I think they'll finish in the top 4 and hold me to this. I think they'll win the FA Cup.
I will hold you to that. We'll take that. We'll definitely take that. You're playing as well, aren't you? You're playing for Loughborough?
Yeah, Sporting Loughborough.
Sporting Loughborough, yeah.
The best Sunday League team in Loughborough, I'd say. So yeah, it's anyone if you want to come down and watch, we're starting our season up again in April, which is great. So get down Lodge Farm, up the Sporting.
Yeah. You had a bad injury last season, didn't you?
When do I ever not having? I'm nearly as injury prone as as anyone really. I'm always picking up injuries left, right, and centre. I very, very badly damaged ligaments in my ankle and nearly snapped my Achilles in the process, which was lovely. And then the season before that, I slide tackled a goal post and sliced my knee open, which saw me out for quite a while as well. So I'm hoping, despite the feeling of maybe an early hernia coming on, that I can get to the end of the season with an injury.
You said you wanted to play for Leicester. You think with all these injuries that Brendan Rodgers is probably just going to come and give you a 3-year contract because you fit in so well with the rest of the lads.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'll keep them on the medical table, can't I?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, lads, have you got anything else planned this week, Steve? What's your week looking like up there?
No, nothing planned. I might actually get out into the garden if the weather's nice, but obviously it's all going to be focused around the match on Sunday. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, we're going to have our first sort of live pre-match show on Sunday, aren't we? We're just going to spend half hour before the game discussing the lineups and what that might look like for us. So, you know, anyone that's listening to the podcast can join us live on Facebook at 4 o'clock or on YouTube. Tom, anything for you? You doing your house apart? You getting rid of that? Moving over to Shelthorpe?
Something like that, mate. Nah, just roll on the weekend, to be honest. Like you say, live show at the weekend. We'll see how that goes. Can't go much worse than this, can it?
Thanks very much. And Aidan and Barry.
Categories went a lot better today.
Say again?
I thought categories went a lot better today.
Yeah, well, I don't want to talk about that. Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. But Aidan and Baz as well, I hope you have a great week. And next week we're joined by most of our heroes, I would imagine. Mr. Leicester City, Steve Walsh, will be joining us for an interview, and we can't wait to speak to him. But from 11, it's heaven for Jamie Vardy. That's the end of this week's show, and we look forward to joining you again next week. Cheers.